All right, sometimes I can just feel it when I'm trying to hurry too fast. And I realized after I got done, if I'm any sort of a good teacher, I need to go through and recap in a good way. And so sometimes I get so worried about the time or about how many videos I'm creating for a particular series, and I need to focus more on making sure it's done right. If, like my parents always taught me, if it's worth doing right. And so let's do it right. So just to recap what we did, we built this program. Now this is kind of the main program. And one of the major benefits of doing object-oriented programming is that you can have two people start working on the program at the same time, or more people. Everybody can take their piece and do it, and I just figure out what name I need to call, and the other person writes something on their side to catch my request and then pass me back the information that I need. And so I'm working on this main method. Somebody else can be working on this word tools at the same time, and we can split the work out that way. Anyway, so we basically came in. This using OOP Fun line indicates to the program that it's part of this overarching, eventually what we're going to call workspaces. It's our group of files that go together to create our program. And then we build an instance of the Word Tools class that we created. We give it a name of WT, and we instantiate it by saying equals new Word Tools, which actually goes and builds it in memory for us, so it's actually out there rather than just this part, which is reserving the space, declaring that class. We built a variable that's a string type called quote that's going to store our information that the user types in. We ask the user for their input, they give it to us, we store it, and then we use that input that's now in quote, containing the quote that they wrote, and we then take that input and we pass it to these different methods. And so my first one I do is I say console.writeLine, and then it says number of words, and then I'm going to concatenate to that the number that's being returned from this method. So the program, you can watch it work. If I put a stop on here and run this program, and I write out a little quote here, let me think of a good one quick. The one that just came to the top of my mind was one from Yogi Berra, famous baseball player, who said, "Good pitching is better than good hitting, and vice versa." Which for some reason, I think it has so many applications in life. It's just kind of a funny quote. Anyway, when we hit this line, then we can continue. Let's see if it gives us the option. I think it's just gonna, so how do I step? Oh, this is where it is. So we can step into, which is actually gonna go into this method, or I can do a step over, which will go execute that method and just go to this next line in this program. But if I do a step into, we'll watch it work. It jumps into our other class, the Word Tools instance called WT. It goes to the word counter method. I can see what's been passed in is the quote, "Good pitching is better than good hitting," and vice versa. And then I can step into here. It's going to set that word count. It's set up the variable here, set it to 0. And then it's going to take the string array, which currently has nothing in it, and it's going to split all the words. And you can see if I go into the split, individual words array, I drop this down, I can see it's taken and split each word into its own apartment in its own element is what we'd really say. I refer to it as apartment in the array. And so now we've got all these different elements, and we go look at the length. If I hover over length, it tells me that there's 10 words in there. And then I return the word count. Now when I step, it's going to take me back here, and it'll print out that line to the console. And so the number of words is 10. Then it says, okay, now number of characters. Let's do the same thing. Let's step into this one. It's going to go in, it's going to set up a variable called character count, set it equal to 0. And then I can look at the length of words is 59. Character count is currently 0, but once I execute that line, it's going to then store a 59, which is the thing that's going to be returned. Okay, next is our alphabet. It prints out the word alphabet. There it is. And then let's step into to go watch this work. It's going to set up an array of letters that all initially have just a 0 in them. Okay, so that's this letters array. Then it's going to start looping through. Now that in the case of I is 0, and so it's going to go set C equal to words element 0, which is going to give us a 71 or a G. Okay. I come in and check to see is 71 between, oh, sorry, it made it a lowercase, which changed it to a 103 G. Is 103 between 97 and 122? The answer is yes. And so it's going to go into that if statement. It's going to go take the 103 minus 97, and it's going to get that result and go out to the element of the array in the letters array, and I can go down and see what it did. It went to element 6, so 103, was it? Minus 97, 6. It goes out to element 6, apartment 6, and puts a 1 in there. It increments it by 1. Then we come back up. It gets the next character. It converts that to a lowercase letter. We've got an O, which is a 111. It checks to see is O between 97 and 122. And then it takes and sets the element of the array. So 111 minus 97, it goes to that apartment, and it increments it by 1, which we'll see here. Again, if you hover over the letters array, drop down, you can see now that apartment, where'd it go? Oh, did I do it? There we go. Now if I hover over the array and go down, I can see that apartment 14 was set to 1, and so on and so forth. So it's going to go through and do this for all the elements of the program. I'll put a stop here so we can watch it print. So it'll go through and just run through that entire loop, and then when it gets done, we have this letters array that if I hover over it again, drop down, I can see all the different elements in the array and how many letters there are. And so then it's going to start out with apartment. It's going to start with I equals 0, and it's going to say take I, add 97 to it, convert that to a char, which is going to give us an A, and set that equal to the letter. So letter, when we get to this point, let's step down a couple lines here. Letter is going to have that 97 or an A in it, and then we print out the letter, which is that A, and then we print out a colon and a space, and then we go out to the letters array at apartment 0, and we see how many letters are in there, and we print that out. And so it's going to print out to our console, A was 3 times. And then it's going to go up, increment I is going to become 1. So then we're going to go say, is 1 less than the length of the array, which is not 26, so yes. And then we're going to get 1 plus 97, which is going to make it a 98 or a B. And then we're going to say B, now in the letters array, apartment 1 has 1 in it, and so on and so forth. So we'll let that run and take that little breakpoint off so it'll finish running. And then I don't know why we just started over again. I must have pressed the wrong button there. But if I go back to that same quote, good pitching is better than good hitting, and vice versa. I don't know why I think that's so funny, but I do. Okay, and then we run that. Then it's going to give us all those different statistics for the alphabet. And so this is a good little object-oriented program that helps us work with the different data types, which is the thing that's new to many of you who have not worked with a strongly typed language before. Just how we have to manipulate them and work with them to make the program do what we want. It's also hopefully a good review of arrays and how they work, because they can be very useful as well. All right. Hopefully that example was helpful. Spencer out.